The process starts out here with the clay roller. I take the large balls of hard monster clay and roll them into thin 2mm sheets of clay. From there, I use my homemade hand-shaped stamp to press out several scales. I'll do about 20 at a time. From there, I take the scales and I use a seashell that is slightly wet compression scale. A lot easier than carving them individually. And then I take that pressed shell and I lay it into a pattern. Once I have a full clay pattern laid out, this took about 3 hours to make, then I use cardboard and set up a frame all the way around it. What I'll do next is pour in plaster of Paris to make a mold all the way around it, and duct tape will hopefully stop the plaster of Paris from leaking out. I am using DAP plaster of Paris. My bucket has about the same area as the cardboard fortress. I just scooped out 8 cups of plaster of Paris. I'm gonna go mix in 4 cups of water. Thoroughly mix up the plaster of Paris for about 3 minutes. I'm gonna take my soapy water mix, spritz it down really lightly, and then take a horsehair brush and brush it in. This makes the plaster of Paris run into the cracks a lot better, makes it not get bubbles, and it just gives us a much better pour. Gonna make that plaster of Paris just smoothly flow into all the cracks so we get a perfect pour the first time. Now I've got the plaster of Paris all mixed up, and what I'm gonna try and do is pour right over here at the edge. Duct tape, let go of the glass. The plaster of Paris poured out all over the outsides, but I think we got enough in there. We might still get a good mold out of it. We'll see in about an hour. So we've taken the cardboard box off and cleaned up the plaster of Paris that was around it. Looks like we've got a pretty good mold, even though it's covered in thousands and thousands of little crater holes. Everything in place just perfectly, and I'm gonna call this a success. Look at those details. So now I'm gonna go put this in the freezer, let the clay get hard enough to peel off, and then I have to carve everything out to make it all nice and beautiful. Taken all the clay and recycled it, tried to get as much of the plaster of Paris out of it as I could, and spent about 2 hours with a razor blade carving off all the sharp edges and overhangs. Okay, so we've changed the workstation over now. We are ready to pour our silicone. I'm gonna do a 2-color pour. Once you start mixing the materials, you have about 6 minutes until it starts to get icky and sticky. Once I add the A and the B in a 1-to-1 ratio by weight, then I'm going to take it down vacuum pump and I'm going to suck all the oxygen out, bubbles in the rubber to expand and collapse, so that when I pour it onto this I should have a much cleaner pour. It helps it be a little bit stronger, and I think it makes the color pop out a little bit more as well. We have our mold. We have our 2-part silicone, part A and part B, that we're going to mix together in a 50-50 ratio. Have our mixing cups with some sticks, have our colors of paint that we're going to be mixing with, as well as our scale. We'll be measuring everything out by weight. Now you're in a hurry once you get the part A and part B mixed together. You've got about 6 minutes until it starts to turn to a gel and it becomes really difficult to work with. We do have everything on hand up here. Our mesh that's large enough to cover the entire back, with that on the back to add a little bit of increased strength. And we've got all of our colors, everything we need to mix together. We are ready to go. Alright, we have our parts A and B all mixed together and set them inside the pressure chamber. Turn our pump on. It's all bubbling up, bubbling up. All the bubbles are coming out of it. Then overflow the cup. Up, and then it all collapses down and unsettles itself. We can take the lid off. We can begin our first pour. The first section did not go as planned at all, but I think I have it thoroughly poured into place. I used my fingers to squish it into all the little cracks and crevices. That's kind of the top coat. I'm going for a dual color, so I'm getting ready to mix up the orange now. I'm going to pour that on. Not a single part of that went the way that I wanted it to, but it's all in there and it's all done. So we're gonna wait 45 minutes and see how this comes out. An hour has passed. Next thing is to just lift it out of the mold, see how we came out. So you'd peel it nice and slow from the back corner. And we got our nice two-tone color here. Some of you may have already noticed I did take it out and cut off all the mesh that was on it. The next step is to take this and make it a gauntlet. Last step is mix up a little bit more silicone, and I'm working on a better process for this, but turn it inside out, glue it together, wait another hour. Alright, looks like everything came out with the glue job, so now we just got to turn it inside out. Let's check out our handiwork here. Looks like everything came out pretty well. Alright. So it looks and feels just like a second skin.